We are diving into the era of my pivot, but I thought today I would talk a little bit about how do you know if you even need to pivot? Because sometimes I find that it's needed, but it's confronting and unclear and vulnerable to choose it. And so we don't. And then we continue struggling on in a pathway or way of living that doesn't really work for us, but to have something else would require immense amounts of change. So, how do you know if it's time for a pivot? And what is a pivot? And what could yours be like? Let's dive in there today. I'm excited. So, I'd like to formally pre invite you to a webinar call training that I'm doing called This Is Me Now for existing and experienced facilitators and coaches. Now, if you aren't already in business, you can definitely still come because all of the things that I talk about will be for life as well. But this is me speaking to you, the person who's already in business, because, well, just because it is. And because I'm one of you and because I am going through it myself. And so let's talk about that. When you are the thing about being in business, when you have a business, a lot of your life is sort of resting on the shoulders of what it is you choose to do or not to do. That's just true. If you're full-time in business, your life and your business are like this. They are lovers, they're friends, if they're fighting, they don't stay fighting for long because your life doesn't work. And so when you know your business needs to change, and it doesn't matter if you're jumping from like doing a modality to something else, or if you're choosing the modality and your business needs to change, whatever the change is, the first ways to recognize that a change is needed is that things just aren't working the way they did. And I've seen a lot of this. Now get ready, I'm about to sweat. Sorry, I just feel it coming on. These power surges are coming on. So like people that are outside of access consciousness too, like some of the entrepreneurs I just really respect are talking about how in 2020 or 2021, when the pandemic hit, a lot of the people that do business started to do really well. There was a lot of money that was put into the economy. Everybody was at home. Like if you did have any kind of an online presence, your income very likely went up, especially if you were putting stuff out. People had time and they had money to consume, to buy, and to purchase. So now here we are in 2024, and we're probably into year 2 of the pandemic correction, which none of us even know what that means. But what we do 100% know is that 2023 was hard for us because everyone went back to work and prices changed and the economy and the inflation and the thing and the that. And not only that, but change is constant. So there was that and. And I know for me personally, I had made a bunch of choices that got things to be really intense. And so here we are in February of 2024, and I'm different, man. I'm different. My business is different. I'm different. My body is different. It's changing dynamically. My brain is changing. Everything's changing. Now, change is the constant. But how do you know when you need to respond to that change with just something different? Well, the cheeky, simple response to that question is you just fucking know. Now, I understand avoiding this choice. I want you to know that I understand that. I get it. I grok it. It was probably like August of last year, 2023, where I kind of crashed for a couple of months. I had really, really, really put myself under a lot of pressure. And we had just moved to kind of, I think, our 4th country in 3 years. And it was just a lot. I don't even think I have any idea. And so I crashed. And this was all pretty public. I did Crystal Crawford shows throughout this, and then I did this kind of comeback show where I'm like, nope, I'm making a demand and we're going forward. Um, but somewhere in the last few months, from December onward, I really it started to kind of hit me that it wasn't just that I needed to kind of make another surge in the business. It was that the business and the audience and the people and the environment that I was doing my business in had changed. I had changed. It had changed. And I was still trying to do things in the same way that I was before. And it wasn't having the same effect. It wasn't doing the same things. I didn't have the same juice that I did when I started. I kept looking for juice and didn't have it. And you could pull that apart, I'm sure. But after a while, I was like, what if I stopped wanting to find that juice anymore? I stopped wanting to try to be who I was before. I was like, what if I just allow myself to be me now? Well, what I had to face was, as me now, what I wanted was different. Me of 10 years ago, in creating the business as it is now, or as it was, now we're pivoting, was deep, deep, deep into access consciousness to change my life. And I have. That shit works. Those tools work. Consciousness is the healing is the side effect of consciousness. It works. I was determined to be able to travel the world and go to any access consciousness class that I wanted to go to. I was determined to be able to make money from anywhere. So with those three things, I started forming my business. And my business was formed very, I'm going to say organically. Like, I had some training, but at the end of the day, when it came down to it, it was just me going, hey, I'm going here. You can come with me. If you want to come with me, here's a link. And that just really, really worked for a long time. And I think you could look at all kinds of factors of why that worked. And I won't get into those here. But the truth is that life changed. Things changed, right? I changed, my life changed, the world changed, all of it changed. So here I am 10 years later, trying to still kind of do that. And it's not working. And so I'm sitting with all this stuff of the change. And for a while, I'm like kind of in denial that, no, I just need to make a bigger demand of myself and like and then it just kind of settles in that I don't think that's true. And I started to allow what had changed to soak in. And really to start to play with, if I wasn't going to keep choosing the same thing, expecting different results, insanity, what would I choose? What would I like my life to be like? What is next? All great questions to ask yourself. Now, when I started letting all of this in, my change was going to completely alter a big part of my life. It didn't have to, but it was going to, because I knew. And here's the thing, you always know. You always know when it's time to drop something and choose something else. And so this took me a while to sit with, because I wasn't sure if I wanted to choose that for a lot of reasons. And so I sat with that for a while, maybe a month. Like, I sat with it and I went back and forth and back and forth. And I looked at it. And the question I asked myself is, what will my life be like in 5 years if I choose this direction? And what will my life be like in 5 years if I choose that direction? That's an access consciousness tool. Thank fuck for that one. And it was so light and so expansive to choose in the direction that was pretty confronting. And when you are faced with something like that, and man, these big choices that I'm talking about can be stuff like, it's time to leave a relationship, or it's time to leave a career, or choices, right? They change the fabric of your day. They change where you are coming from. And so I could already, just in looking at it and choosing it, perceive how that was going to affect people, all the different points of view people might come to, all the different projections, it was a lot. And so when you are looking at pivoting, you're going to get aware of all that stuff. And if what you're choosing means you are really literally leaving the nest that you got really comfortable in for a lot of years, you got to be willing to kind of just have all of that sensation. Ease comes with being willing to receive everything, all the information, all the energies, all the points of view that even unspoken and spoken. So as I let all that sit in and I really sat with, I played with choosing the big thing. This is a really great, another access consciousness tool. Play with choosing the big thing. I let myself sit with it and I'm like, okay, I'm I'm not doing it. I'm going to do something new. Like my body would go through stuff and but it got easier and easier and easier in my world as I allowed myself to have the choice. Now, if you are in the middle of a pivot and you're not, or if you're in the middle of the need for a pivot from your own point of view and you're not having that ease, you might want to look at, am I fighting myself? Because that can happen. We can fight ourselves. We can fight what we know. We can fight what we're aware of. We can fight. And in the what we are aware of camp, the thing about that is that you don't even know what you're aware of. This is the thing that I had to really wrestle with personally was I'm not even sure exactly what I'm aware of. There's a few bits of this that I can articulate and a lot of it that I can't. I do know, however, that I am aware. And this is the whole purpose of access consciousness is to empower you to know that you know. So I know, and I know change is coming, and I know that I've changed, and I know that I need to take action in this way. And I don't know exactly what that's going to look like, and I don't know how it's all going to play out, and I don't know how it's going to work, but I do know. And I would say 9 times out of 10, when you're facing a big choice like that, a big possibility of a pivot, that's what's happening, is you don't have all the information. And I really, really, really chose not to invent stories around what I was choosing because I didn't want to do myself that disservice. There wasn't really a story. There was awareness and of things changed and I'm different and it's time to change. And that was all. So to make it into anything else was like this huge disservice to me. I wanted to give myself the possibility of choosing something without having to justify it even to myself. And so that took strength. And that's going to happen as you guys are aware of some big changes in your business, in your life. You're going to have to sit with that and go, am I going to try to explain this and justify it, or am I just going to choose it and let it be what it is? Let me be different. So that took a lot of courage. So that's a part of these pivots is really having the courage to sit with it and go, okay, yep, this is happening. Let yourself sweat, let yourself be uncomfortable, let yourself have all the awareness, let yourself have the sensation of the change, let yourself have the unknown, especially when you're pivoting out of everything that you've known for a long period of time. You are definitely 100% heading into reference pointless land where you are more than ever going to need to navigate with your senses, not your thinking. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I am literally taking, and I would say Andres and I are in a very similar position together. Like I am taking all of this, everything one day at a time and one step at a time. What's next? What's next? What's next? Where's my attention required next? These are incredible access consciousness questions. What do I need to be aware of next? What do I need to pay attention to? What's trying to talk to me that I need to listen to? And so you move yourself forward. Now, if your pivot is inclusive of your business, then the next piece that's required, so there's the personal piece where you've got to like own it and choose it and come to terms. And then there's the business piece. And this has been probably a 3-month process for me of looking again at what I want my life to be like. And so if you have a business, this would be where I would start. And I'm going to go into this more on the call. I promise you I'll get you a link. If you want the link and you're listening to this, just put it in the comments and I'll make sure you get it. We're building it today. But you have to look at what you want your life to be like. This is a lot, I think, of what changed what I'm choosing moving forward. I realized that the way that I had built my business up to this point was me building myself a job. So, like, if you leave your business and your business ends if you leave, you've created a way of getting, like, you've created a business, but you've mostly created a job for yourself. And that's absolutely fine. That's one way of creating, that's most solopreneurs, right? They have a good idea, or they have a skill set, they go start doing that skill set for money. And, 8 years, 10 years down the line, they either quit and do something else and close the doors, or keep going and like wear themselves out. That's most entrepreneurs. Well, there are other possibilities of how you can build your business. And so I started with, what do I want my life to be like? And I was like, I want to work maybe 2 to 3 hours a day. I want my business to be mostly writing centric from online. And I want a handful of courses or programs that I can run on repeat that speak to and proliferate what I am in the world. And for the rest of my day, I want to be free to do what I want to do: paint, read, write, work out, travel, whatever. And that's what I want my life to live. And then I got the sense of like where I want to live and where that business wants to exist. And so what I realized with asking myself that question and getting that download was that I was going to really have to change the way I was functioning 100%. For me to create that business, I couldn't keep doing things the way that I was doing now. Now, that's a little bit tricky when you have an existing business, because you do kind of need to keep the lights on. So you keep going, and at the same time, like pedaling madly underwater to establish something new. So that's a really huge first part, is like, look at what you want your life to be like. If you're here now going, something really needs to change, that means that what you've created your life as so far has stopped working for you in the way that it did. So now what do you want your life to be like? I really do want to be able to live anywhere. Live, like buy a house, buy some roots, maybe have 2 to 3 houses, and live anywhere that I want to live. I'm not so into all the traveling. I want to travel when I want to travel, but it's changed. And it could change again, but this is where I'm at now. This is the new era. So look at what you want your life to be like. Then look at your business and go, can I live that way with how I've created my business so far? And I just yesterday was online doing some just Googling around for stuff, and I found the book, The E-Myth. Now, I've never read this book, but when I found it, I realized it's been around forever. There's E-Myth coaching, business coaching. I'm going to go actually read that, and I'll probably have more to say later. But the little bit that I read, there's three basically archetypes of entrepreneur, and one is the technician, one is the manager, and one is the entrepreneur. And they're all very different. And what I recognized as I was reading that book, and also reading Unique Ability by out of Strategic Coach Land, that they're speaking to the same thing, which is that most of us are living out of our technician and manager, which is what's making us tired. Whereas the entrepreneur, which is the big vision thinker, the book writer, the way seer, is really what's needed to go long term, to have a sustainable business. And having known none of that, I had just built it in the way that I saw and the way that I chose. And so as I was looking at what I want my life to be like, I'm like, I want my life to be like where I'm living out of only the stuff that is my unique ability, which I can go into more. I'm going to do a workshop on that soon. And the entrepreneur, which requires that my business be systematized. It's not. If I walked out of my business today, it wouldn't exist. so, so we're looking at probably a 3 to 5 year plan. But here's another piece. What I want my life to be like, I want a steady stream of like new people coming in all the time. I want new people to be finding this business all the time. Well, guess who had never set up like a lead generating system or marketing systems, or, bringing in new people systems? Some. I think I've done a lot more than most with my content, but even that was changing. So I was like, oh, okay. So I just started to see all these gaps in what I had created that, of course, weren't supporting me and my life and the changes in my body like they could. Which is what led me to project number 3, which is really where I want to talk to you guys on the call, which is, okay, so for me to generate a business that is system run, where do I start with this? What do I need to know? What do I need to know about who I'm targeting? Because here's the thing, when you go out and find new people and you use your money to do that, that's called advertising. That's called ad dollars. You got to know some stuff. That ads manager is going to ask you who you're trying to reach. And if you go, I don't really know, maybe just seekers, you're going to throw a whole lot of money away on Facebook ads. So it's really different running Facebook ads to your warm audience. You can upload your email list into there and you can do a lookalike audience. That's one way you can do it. But those people are still new to you. So what are they going to find? So it just starts opening all these questions. Like, if I am going to run ads to people to find new people, who am I running ads to? And then when I run ads to those people, what are they going to find when they get back to my universe? And is that a friendly user experience, or is that a little traumatic? And when they get back to my universe, like, what is it that I want? What am I about? Like, am I about something? Do I need to clarify something? Like, in order to be easy to make money, is something different required? Because I'm always going to create change. That's a given. How about you? Anytime you come to a class, you listen to a video, I'm always going to create change. I'm always going to empower you. That's already built into the fabric. Now, is it also built into the way I do my business, the support of my body and my life? Is it also built into the way I do my business, the support of my finances? And if it's not, what does it take? So I think I'll wrap up with that. I'd love for you to look at your life, look at your business and go, is my life and business asking for a pivot? Yes or no? If it is, what is it? Now, this is a great way of just sort of going, what is the pivot? Because it could just be changing the way you function in your existing business with your existing certifications. It could be a pivot from your existing business and your existing certifications into a similar business, but run very different. It could be a pivot into something completely other. If you were listening to your body, listening to your life, listening to yourself, listening to the change in the air and if you were listening, what are you aware of? What's required? And what's next? I'm excited. This is the next 2 weeks. We're going to launch New Me, New Leads, the 3-month program for existing coaches and facilitators. But to invite you to that, I've got a call called This Is Me Now, and the link is dropping really soon. So drop a comment if you know that you're going to want to link to that call to get more of this. And otherwise, share this, like this, comment on this. Would you subscribe to the channel and leave a 5-star review on Apple Music? That would be amazing. Apple Podcasts. Awesome. I'll see you in the next conversation.